The Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is back after a one-week break, and so is the RacerX Motocross Show right here at AllySports.com. Got a little bit of rain coming down, so we're going to head inside the tent with Red Bull KTM's Andrew Short, who'll help us break down all the action coming up this weekend. So stay tuned. Welcome to the RacerX Motocross Show on AllySports.com. Jason Wygant and another Colorado guy, Andrew Short here, because Paul Lindsay didn't make it due to weather problems. Why? Well, we've had some rain here at Spring Creek. Round 7 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. But Andrew, thank you for putting out the tent for us, for bringing out the chairs. Everybody at Red Bull KTM, brilliant what you've put together for our set.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a unique Millville with this rain. It's going to be like it was a few years ago when Ricky lapped the whole field, and the rain could definitely play a big role in tomorrow's race.
It rained hard today here on Friday. Now, I don't think the forecast it wasn't supposed to rain this bad today, and it's not supposed to rain this bad tomorrow. Any idea if they could salvage this? I mean, we're looking at 24 hours between now and race day.
Yeah, the last race at Red Bud, it was pouring pretty much all day Friday.
Right.
And they formed the track up really nice for Saturday, and it turned out well. But today has been epic rains. It's coming down. Some of the pits are even flooded. I think Butler Brothers needs a full-on trash pump to you see the ground again. So we've got a lot of rain. If the track was sealed and they made it hard-packed, the water could run off, and they could disc it up tomorrow, and it could be good by the moto time. But it's going to be muddy in practice.
All right. Well, that should make it pretty fun to watch. Now, talk about Millville, which I think right up there with Red Bud is a track that a lot of people identify as one of their favorites, one of the most fun to ride. So what do you think of when you think Millville?
Definitely the Whoop Monster. The Whoops are legendary here.
Right.
He makes all kinds of noises and goes through the pits on his little, I don't even know what you would call it, but it's a
I don't even know
modified.
What you call him.
Yeah.
Right.
He's on fire. But,
okay.
You know, the soil is always really good here. It's sandy, similar to Red Bud. Big jumps.
Yep.
And the elevation changes up and down the hills. The TV doesn't really do it justice. It takes a lot of horsepower and skill to keep that front end on the ground and accelerate up the hills. And if you make a mistake at the bottom, it really costs you by the time you get to the top. So definitely a good track. The first turn always has some good spills. It's really fast into a right-hander, which is hard to get to the rear brake.
Yep.
But definitely a favorite for the riders.
Now, I want to ask about bike setup for a track like Millville. The sand whoops get all the headlines, but I would assume that bike setup for sand whoops and choppy downhills isn't the same. So how do you choose how to set your bike up for a track that has hills and hard pack and also sand and whoops?
Actually, you want to keep your front end really stiff so it'll hold up going down the hills, and also through the sand whoops. I mean, a lot of it's going to be on that rear shock, and so it's not much difference between the two, just because there's a lot of load on the front end, and you want to keep the weight more towards the rear. But entrance to both of them is key. You know, the more speed you carry into the whoops, the easier it's going to be to get through it, and it's basically the only place to pass on this track. This track's pretty narrow. And it funnels to the insides, but the sand whoops is one place where you can kind of hang it out and get by that guy if you really need to.
Okay, now let's talk about some specifics on the racing. You've had a weekend off, so has everyone. How do you think that might impact things? How would it impact you? How does it impact the field to have a week to reset in the second half?
I think for people that had a lot of momentum going, it's hard because you want to keep that going. You don't want to stop and take a pause and regroup because you have those good feelings. But some of the guys that needed a week to recover, that have maybe been dealing with some crashes and injuries, it gives them that chance to hit the reset button, get some strength back in your sails, and get some training under your belt, and also to lift your confidence up, because that weekend off gives you a little extra time to kind of refocus and regroup and start over again.
So how do you feel about that? Like, are you in a situation where your results were getting better, So did you want a week off, or did you want to keep building on what you had the last couple of weeks with top 5 overall?
Yeah, definitely. It was good for me to have a weekend off. I haven't had the best of seasons and feel like I needed to go home and kind of figure some stuff out. So that was good. Also to see my family and kind of do some things out of the ordinary and think outside the box was definitely refreshing as well. But I always like this track. I've had good success and look forward to coming here. And when you get paid to ride dirt bikes, it's hard not to get excited to go to the races.
Good point. Okay, so that's why we're all here. We're having a good time. Now, I'm going to throw a curveball at you and ask you about the 250 class. The 450s, we know your perspective. You're in the race. Do you get to watch the 250s? Do you know what's going on there? And how do you think this might play out? We've got 3 riders, basically passing a points lead back and forth every week.
Yeah, and they all have 3 different styles. One's really consistent, a diesel with a retray. And, Wilson's been really consistent, and he seems like he's always in there. And if he can get just a little better starts and maximize his strengths, he could be there towards the end. And then Baggett has everything going for him. He just needs to not throw it away. And he has the most momentum, and maybe he's the one who's going to benefit the least from that weekend off. But with the lights class, you never know what to expect. That's what's so great about the racing and the class. And I think Eli Tomac had an off weekend with that crash, and it was really unfortunate. And there's so many other wild cards that could play a spoil factor. Will Hahn came back. There's a lot of people that want to prove a point. It's getting to be that time of season where they're trying to make that extra push and get up there, because there's been a few that have been dominating from the beginning.
Yeah, it has been interesting because 3 guys have gone back and forth, which is good. But I think we expected maybe 8 or 10 could win motos, and only 3 have so far. So we'll see if that changes here. My last thing, so we raced 4 races in a row, and we got that weekend off. After 4 races in a row, do you need a break physically? Does it wear on you? Or does training during the week, it doesn't matter if you have a race or not?
I think the traveling definitely plays a big role in your fatigue factor in racing week in, week out. And especially when you have rain like this, a lot of guys are going to get in late. You're not going to get to the hotel till late. They didn't get to walk the track. And little things like that, seem silly, but you don't wake up on race day quite as refreshed, and maybe your attitude isn't good because it's muddy. And little things like that play a big difference for professional athletes, and who can manage that the best and adjust the best is going to come out on top on race day.
And that's why you're smiling, because you were here early enough to help us on our show, and you can get a good night's sleep tonight, right?
Definitely.
There we go. And by the way, Andrew Short, the 2005 winner of the lights class, but that was so long ago they called it the 125 class.
I was on a 250F, but
I know it might as well have been the 250 class. Does that make you feel good, or does that make you feel old?
It makes me feel old, but some good memories here. This track's always really well, and I think with the rain, you've seen all kinds of things happen at this track where first moto somebody does awesome, second moto it falls apart. So it's going to be an interesting day, and whoever adjusts the best, like I said, is going to come out on top.
Cool. Well, we thank Andrew Short and everyone at Red Bull KTM for hosting us on a rainy day here at Millville. Of course, First Motos will be live on Fuel TV and AllySports.com. That's 2 Eastern, 1 o'clock here local time Central. And the second Motos follow this. 450s, 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday night on Speed. 250s, 6 p.m. Sunday night on Speed. So that's your chance to watch Andrew Short in the 450 division Saturday night, and the 250 boys on Sunday evening. So thanks for having us, man. Next time it rains, we know where the place to be is. The tent.
I guess, yeah. Good place.
Hook this up. That's Andrew Short. I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you for our post-race show tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.